Hey, Cassandra, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. Good to see you.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me,
So do you go by Cassie or
Cassandra.
okay? That's
Yeah.
just your email is shorter.
Yes, because everybody would misspell Cassandra, but not
Ah,
everybody
yeah.
misspells Cassie.
Yeah, that's
Can't
a tricky
win.
one.
Yeah.
All right. Well, cool. Cool, cool. And Parthiban, how are you doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
Doing well, man. Doing well. Glad to have you on the call here. So we're gonna wait on a couple more people to hop in, but we'll be getting started in just a minute. So
Where are you?
I'm in Indian Land, South Carolina.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm in the better Carolina.
The better Carolina, North Carolina.
That's what we say.
Fair enough. Where I was born, in Charlotte, so
Okay, all
I
right.
don't know if I consider it better per se, but
Nice little rivalry.
yep, tis true, tis true. Parthiban, where are you tuning in from?
Charlotte?
All right, there you go. So there's your better Carolina,
Two
Cassandra.
against one so far.
Cool deal. All right, well, I know that we had about like 18 to 19 people, I think, actually register for the webinar. Excited about that, and I think a few of them wanted to just get the replay. But we'll hop right in this. So I appreciate you guys being on the call. And welcome to How to Dominate the STR World in 2025. I am Jimmy Schweitzer, and I'm the owner of B&B Ace, as you can see behind me here. And always liked having an agenda. So in today's webinar, you're going to learn exactly what to do about the problems of not having a clear plan and strategy for STR growth, doing everything yourself, and you're unsure of how to remove yourself from the business, or just get a couple of stress-free days to yourself. And three, you want to move fast, but everything seems to take so long. So we hope that you can get a completely hands-off investment that makes money for you, that you have time to focus on growing your portfolio or diversifying your investments. And three, you have the ability to put your attention onto the things that are actually important to you. Now, I know that sounds like a lot to cover in only 90 minutes today, but if you stick around all the way to the end of the webinar, I promise that you're going to have everything you need to take intelligent action moving forward. The information we're going to be covering is extremely, extremely valuable. I've personally invested over $20,000 into learning everything I'm going to share with you today. So I'm going to treat this like I want you to treat this rather like a $20,000 investment. I'm sure you value your time as much as I do. So now would be a wonderful time to close your other browsers, silence your phone, and let everyone around you know that you're going to be focused on this for just the next 90 minutes. If that's okay with everyone, let me know in the comments. I want this to keep this interactive. So if you guys can put comments in the chat, that would be awesome. Stacy, welcome. Glad that you're here.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, so like I said, put some comments in the chat. And I know that we already talked to Cassandra about where she's from and Parthiban, but Stacy, where are you from?
I'm in Omaha, Nebraska.
Omaha. Okay, very good. Yeah, partnered up with Ted on a few projects out there with the
Yeah,
RIA chapter. So yeah, absolutely. Well, welcome. Glad that you're here for sure. So let me ask you, and again, this is an interactive kind of webinar, but how many of you are already own short-term rentals? So drop it in the chat. If you don't have any right now, that's cool. You can put zero, but either put the number or if you have multiple ones, where was your first one? Okay, so I see we have seven. That's awesome. All right, no problem there. Gotcha. All right, cool. Very good. So it looks like we have a couple as well in the Ozarks, and Omaha was your second. That's very cool. Very good. So I know that you're here because you're not making as much money from your STR as you like, or you're making enough, but it's sucking all of your time and it's feeling like another full-time job. I know that's why you're here, and I'd like to challenge you a little bit to really be honest with yourself about exactly why you're here. No shame. If you're just here to get information, I totally understand. And I would like to also invite you to consider that if you have a pattern of just getting information and then not acting on it, today's webinar is going to show you how to break that very harmful pattern of getting information and not implementing it. Hey, Kim, just saw you pop in. Let us know where you're from in the chat. Today's webinar is going to show you how to break that very harmful pattern of getting information and not implementing. Would that be useful to you? So go ahead and share in the chat exactly why you're here. And if you don't want to share publicly, I totally understand. You can certainly message me as well privately. What made you want to come on the webinar today? I know for sure that there's people on here who they want to make more money in their STR business. I also know that they want to understand the market better. It looks like we're interested in opportunities working with investors. So Kim looks like she's more of like a property manager. That's awesome. Excited that you're here as well. So I appreciate you guys sharing that. That's exciting. It's good to know like, hey, why am I here? What am I want to do? And what are the goals that I have for sure. And so what I'm going to do in just a couple of minutes, I'm going to share the exact steps you need to take so you can dominate 2025 and you can make more money. You can perhaps find more investors. You can, free up your time. But first, is it all right if I tell you a quick story? I'm sure you guys can relate. Have you ever had an Airbnb guest that made you want to give up in the business? Imagine you're working 60 plus hours per week, and so is your spouse, at your full-time jobs and running an Airbnb out of your own home. You're stressed to the max, you're at each other's throats, and you simply need a break. Maybe you can relate. Let me take you back to 2015. We are renting out a room in our own home with zero industry knowledge and just a prayer that we would make some extra cash. What started as a part-time thing started feeling more like a second full-time job. We are overworked, overstressed, and need a break. I book a beautiful cabin for us in Asheville for a nice 4-night stay. We take our PTO, we get it on the schedule, looking forward to a nice romantic getaway. We arrive at the most beautiful cabin you can imagine, with the most amazing views and absolutely perfect weather. It's one of those weekends you want to bottle up and take with you. You know what I mean? Have you ever had one of those weekends? We are reconnecting, relaxing, and enjoying life, and really don't want this to end. Then our 4 days are up, and we realize our vacation is now ending. We're pulling into the neighborhood, laughing, singing, and ready to get home. Our windows are down, and we turn the corner, and we see something we really did not expect. There's this guy standing on our lawn. He's practically naked in just his underwear, has a cigarette in one hand, a Coors Light in the other, and he's headbanging. We pull up, we get out, we're asking him who he is, but he can't hear us because there's this loud, sort of obnoxious, hard to describe kind of metal music that I've never heard before. I just knew I didn't want it on my lawn. Wondering if he's on drugs or dangerous in some way, I approached with caution while my wife waits in the car. This is when I realize he's just wearing whitey tighties and there's a stain. You have got to be kidding me. Who the hell are you and what are you doing at my house? I'm your bleeping Airbnb guest. That's who. Our Airbnb guest. You're Kevin? You were supposed to check out at 11 this morning and it's going on 5 o'clock. What is all this? I managed to take a breath, calm myself down. Listen, man, I'll give you 30 minutes. You can clean up your stuff and get out of here, please. Get this. He cusses me out, throws his half-empty Coors can on the ground, and storms inside my house. Now I'm sitting in my own driveway with my crying wife at my side, music still blaring, and a pissed off guy who just ran into my house. We decided to wait in the car while my wife pulls up the Airbnb app and reports this to the customer support team. We send our star guest a message and call the police. Fortunately, it's enough to scare him off and he leaves quickly. Just a couple hours ago, we were riding high after our incredible weekend together. Now I'm on my front porch. I'm pissed off. I'm tired, and I feel like I let my wife down. I really feel like I let my wife down. I know I should have vetted this guy better. I know I should have asked more questions. I know I should have given him a discount, not given him a discount. That's just horrible and bad idea. And I was really ready to throw in the towel and give up on the whole Airbnb thing. How many of you ever felt that before? How many of you are feeling this right now? That's when I knew I hit rock bottom. I knew if I didn't take drastic action that I was headed for disaster. I knew it was either I go all in or get the F out of here. And look, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but I realized if I don't change today, that's exactly where I'm headed. I realized if you don't change something now, that's exactly where you're going to end up. Get this, guys, it actually gets worse. I take a deep breath, open the door, and head into the house. First thing I notice is the smell. It's a mix of stale and is that chili? And something else, something awful, something really awful. Door creaks as it closes behind me. There's broken beer bottles everywhere, empty pizza boxes scattered across the kitchen counter. Dirty dishes have piled up in the sink. There's water slowly collecting around them, and there's a few greasy pots abandoned on the stove. Disgusted, I inspect the rest of the home. The couch cushions are thrown around. There's a bottle of wine tipped over on the coffee table. I hear a crunch under my feet. What is that? What's a potato chip? Huh, man, they're all over the carpet. There's so much more, but I don't want to waste your time describing every detail. I'm there cleaning for hours, trying to make it livable again. It's a punch to the gut, honestly. Seeing the place I worked so hard to prepare turn into this. I'm really tired. I thought I could do it without help, without a clear plan. We just threw this thing up on Airbnb and hoped for the best. After that, I tried hiring someone to do the cleaning for me, but it's never as clear as when you do it yourself, right? I even found someone to co-host and help me vet the guests and manage the communication, but they were flaky and not reliable. Nothing helped. Bookings were down, and I was right back to where I started. I gave up, truly. We actually took the listing down, and our Airbnb days were over. For now. How many of you know what it feels like to try and fail? In just a second, I'm going to show you why those things don't work. And I'm going to show you exactly what you need to do instead. So a couple years later, I did end up going all in, and I became a property manager for a few luxury lakefront properties. I invested hundreds of hours and thousands of my own dollars so I could figure out where I went wrong and what I could do better. Investing in mentorship and masterminds, learning by trial and error, and sticking with it. And all of that to get to the heart of the thing. Now, my favorite thing in the world is to help prevent people from spending hours and years and hundreds of thousands of dollars just to get right exactly where you're going to happen. So again, I'm glad you guys are here. Does this story resonate with you? Did you possibly see yourself in this story? Are you there right now? Are you there right now? Are you aware that this has to change? Because what I'm about to share with you is very powerful information. You'll be able to use it to make a change if you're committed. So I just have to know, is it something that you're committed to changing now? When Andrew and Lauren came to me, they loved the idea of earning more through short-term rentals. But after a few months of sleepless nights and constant stress, they were ready to give up. They insisted that they could do it all by themselves. the cleaning, talking with guests, photography of the house, and all the things that go into running a business on top of that. But they both had full-time jobs. So the time that they weren't working their jobs, they were simply working their property. Andrew told me that he would spend hours on Facebook and searching Google for ways to make things a little easier. He found tools like a PMS to manage the bookings and messages and everything else, but it was too much for him to figure out how to use and gave up quick. Lauren goes out and hires a cleaner she found on Craigslist. Yeah, I said Craigslist, and we all know how that turned out. She would go in after the cleaning lady and clean even more. They were desperate when we got on the phone, but within weeks, bookings were high, and we found them a team that could handle the day-to-day operations. In just a couple of months, they hit 2x what they were earning before and suddenly had all this free time they didn't know what to do with. Isn't that awesome? That's so great that they were able to do this. While these tools are great, you just have to look at the other things people have tried and why they didn't work. How many things have you tried that didn't work? And of course, I'm not pointing fingers here. I've done a lot of it myself. How many things have you tried that haven't worked? Go ahead, drop some in the comments. Let me know some of the things that you guys have tried in your STRs that just did not work. I know that we've all tried different things, and I want to hand it to you because of the fact that you have tried so many different things. This tells me a lot about you. It tells me that you're an action taker, you're an implementer. And the fact that these things didn't work, well, it's not necessarily your fault. Many of these things were designed at a different time. I mean, we're in 2024, and with things like the current economy and climate and the market, everything's totally different now than it used to even be 2 years ago. And so a lot of the tools and resources that were created to help you solve problems in 2020 don't apply anymore, or at least they're not as effective. So how many of you are ready to really get results? You guys feeling all right? Does anybody need a drink of water? I know I do, so I'm going to get one real quick. Cool. Let's get into the good stuff. How many of you want to live a different lifestyle than you're living right now? Maybe it's not much different, but maybe it is. Just let me know in the chat. All right, Stacy has a hand up. Very good. I like it. Cool. So how many of you have thought about exactly how many properties you want to own? Drop the number in the chat. Could be a range, could be a specific number. 8. All right, 8 is a very specific number. Very good. I like that. Anybody else? How many properties do you want to, exactly how many do you want to own? Put it in the chat. One new per year for 10 years, so 10 total. Okay. All right. That's a great goal. What about shifting gears? What about exactly how much money is required for you to live this dream lifestyle? Do you know what it's going to cost monthly? Very specifically, we had 8 and we had 10. Why did you guys choose those numbers?
Because I currently have 7 and I self-manage, and I think 8 is all I can self-manage.
All
After
right.
that, I'm tapped.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
That's a great answer. Does that get you to your goal of
I'm a little bit different. I've got a couple other businesses that bring in income, so
okay?
I'm not just relying on this. So yeah, it supplements well.
Okay, excellent. Very good.
I picked 10 with a goal of $1,000 a month
Okay.
to spin off each.
Okay, so
with
10,
the
10K
goal
a
to
month.
have, by the time I'm retiring, then I have $10,000 a month extra on top of any other retirement that we have.
Okay, perfect. Kim, I hate to have you go. We'll send you over the recording. So, but that's a great answer, Stacy. I love that. And Cassandra, thanks for sharing. Stephanie, welcome. Glad that you're here. We're talking right now about how many short-term rentals you would like to own in the future. Feel free to throw it in the chat.
I already own a short-term rental. Uh, it's in a fairly popular town.
Okay.
Um, and the problem that we face is that we probably have on average one renter for a weekend every 6 weeks. So it's obviously not making much money.
Okay. Well, fair enough. Well, and that's really the reason that a lot of us are on the call today is to figure out how to increase the revenue, for sure. So, um, keep thinking kind of, how what that number looks like. And the number we're talking about is what kind of revenue you want to have through your short-term rentals. So be thinking about that as we continue on. So the reality is at least what I've observed is that the more detail you can add to your plan, so having 8, having 10, that's awesome. But the more detail that you can add and the more specific you can be with your goals, of course, the faster that you're likely to follow your plan and attain those goals. Do you guys agree on that? What I'd like to do now is take you through a short goal setting process to help you map out your next 10 years. Would that be okay with you guys? It'll only take about 10 minutes, which I know is barely scratching the surface on this stuff. So if you'd like to dig a little deeper after the call, we can talk about that later. Sound good? You guys ready? All right. What do you see for yourself in 10 years? Think not only income, but think day-to-day activities, things that you enjoy doing. Think people in your life, where you live, and so on. Kind of the high level. Where do you see yourself? So put that in the chat. Where do you guys want to be in 10 years? As you think about that 10-year goal, what needs to be true 3 years from now so you're on track for your 10-year vision? And you can list these out as well. So I see Cassandra wants retired with mailbox money coming in. Love it. Retired but working for myself. Okay, so great. So the 10-year plan is retirement. I love that. What needs to happen in the next 3 years for that to be the case? What do you need to put in place to make that happen?
I need interest rates to go down so I can refinance all my house for lower payments.
That's a fair answer and very true. It can be sometimes harder to get properties, obviously, when interest rates are much higher. So I agree with that. So be thinking about these. What are the things, the tactical things that you need? Matt's saying kind of, hey, what else is needed? Interest rates, that's not anything that we can, affect. But what are some action items that you can take that would help you get to your goal?
I mean, in the end, you have to either reduce cost or up income, right? I mean, that's kind of the bottom line on economics. So how can we
Sure.
make more money on each property and reduce costs on each property so that the net is bigger than it currently is?
Very true. And I want you to keep thinking specifically because what we're doing is we're dialing down on, hey, our 10-year goal is 8 properties. Our, you know, 3-year goal is what? There has to be something that you're working towards. And so that's kind of what the goal setting piece of this is about. Because without a goal, we have no idea kind of where we're heading. So, what about a year from now? What are you trying to accomplish in a year? So start thinking about, this time 2025. Now, I love this term obviously because I created it. But at B&B Ace, we have a what we call an STR. So the next 90 days in mind, we're going to come up with your STR or short-term radar. So the short-term radar is, everyone on my team knows exactly what they're focusing on for the next 90 days. So I'd love for you to list, and I'm going to take some time here because this is important. List 3 to 7 things that will be your top priority in your business, keeping that 10-year vision in mind. Really break it down. Thanks for joining us, Stacy. We'll send you the recording. Cassandra, Parthaban, do you guys have anything that is, keeping that 10-year vision in mind? What are the 3 to 7 things that are top priority for your business?
I don't know. Um, this is kind of a side business for me. My main businesses have me so underwater right now that it's like hard to even think of how to get out of, how to, flourish in these. But I just launched another one, so I'm a glutton for punishment, I guess.
Well, your 10-year vision or even your 1-year vision could be, hey, I don't want to do this and I want to hand it off to someone else. I can focus on my main business. That is a completely acceptable and fine goal. This does not need to be a focus of yours even. So that's good that you mentioned that. So that
Yeah,
can
but the
definitely be
numbers have to work for that, for the amount that the people take. The numbers have to work, and a couple of mine, the numbers just don't work. So then I say to
absolutely
myself, do I give half of them to somebody and I self-manage the other half? Like, what's that buying me? You know? So that's where I get stuck.
fair enough. Fair enough. Parthaban, anything you have as far as kind of what you're looking for in 10 years, perhaps what you know that you need to do in the next 90 days? All right, no worries there. So when we talk about STR again, it's short-term radar. It's what is on your radar, and so making sure that you understand what you're doing in those time frames to get to your goals is vitally important. Now, your STR might be the same quarter after quarter, and not much will really change on that. But what will change is your monthly targets. These are specific action items you're going to take to keep you pointed and moving in the right direction. So I know that we've started at 10, we went to 3, went to 1, went to 90 days. What needs to happen in, say, the next 30 days? And be thinking of these things. If you have something in mind, put it in the chat. Because hopping on this call could be one. Hey, I want to understand which direction I need to head. That's totally cool. But if you need some help coming up with this, and we kind of brainstormed a little bit already, Cassandra, but feel free, like, we can talk a little bit more about it just to make sure that that you're heading in the right direction. So most definitely what I want you guys to do is to think through those, write them down, and make sure that you review them, say in the next week or so. It really would help you get to your goals. Um, when you have an exact plan of how you're going to get to somewhere, people can sometimes fill in, what is needed for you to get there, but you have that action steps that you need, and then you're able to hit your goals. So as you can see, I mean, this probably requires some more thought and time, of course. So I'm sharing a document with you that has this exact planning framework and the steps we took, so you can spend some more time on this. So Matt's going to put the link in the chat, and you'll be able to see that. Click on it and then use that tool to actually go through these steps. And it is vitally important that you do this because if you don't have goals, you don't ultimately know where you're heading, and then you don't know how to get there. So that should be appearing in the chat here in just a minute. So how are we doing so far? Any questions? Anything that you guys have?
I have a question. I'm
Sure.
considering putting electric car chargers in my properties where they make sense. Wonder if anybody has done that and seen an increase in bookings. Because when I do my research on Greenville, North Carolina, which is where my best STRs right now, there's only 5 with electric car chargers. That's very
Okay.
low. Just curious if
I,
it.
I think I'll hit on it and we'll continue on. But overall, I think any amenity is better than not. So that's obviously being a very popular one, and that's one that I can most definitely see there being benefit there. Sometimes things like that specifically are very hard to see a revenue increase or decrease or that stays the same. If you have people who are reaching out to you and saying, "Hey, I wanted to book your place, but I don't see fill in the amenity," you know,
No, I don't. I don't have that. I never have that. It's just I'm just wondering if it would be, um, something that I would want to put it in only if it increased bookings. Like
we have a place with one and we have a place without, and I haven't seen any difference in either
no
of them as
difference.
far as the bookings go. So,
Okay.
you know,
Okay.
it all kind of depends on the area and kind of, all of that can be different depending on the area.
For
So
sure.
I would
Okay.
probably invest money in other things that appeal to the masses versus
Makes
a
sense.
handful of
Yeah.
people at this point.
Okay. Good deal.
Great question. All right, so let's talk about how many of you know everything that's needed for a short-term rental to be profitable, so that you can have more free time and continue to invest in your portfolio. So if you got them, throw them in the chat. And I realize there's just a couple of you on the call here, and that's okay. Just what are some things that you need to be profitable? So some example, actually, as a matter of fact, I have 25 different things that I'm going to show you, and make that happen. So um, if I could get my screen here. We've talked to hundreds and I wouldn't say we've talked thousands. We've talked to hundreds of successful STR investors and managers, and these are the 25 things you absolutely must have if you want to have a profitable hands-off business.
You guys can all see the screen share, I hope. Thumbs up. Yeah.
Yeah, we see what does a profitable hands-off look like. So as Matt is pulling these up, look at the different categories that we have and look at the different 25 areas of, that you need to focus on. And I'll give you guys a few seconds to take a look at that list.
And a lot of this is covered through one system like Hospitable, or like the direct bookings, the website, the smart, lock updates, all that. A lot of it can be completely automated, which is great.
Yes, and what you're referring to is really the PMS piece, where it's just kind of the hub that everything exists. It has the
Hmm.
messaging, it has variety of different things. And there's a bunch of different, obviously systems and softwares to work um, that are out there for sure. Um, so what I want you to do is just, take a look at this list and, I mean, as you can see, there's a lot that goes into it, and maybe it's more than you thought. Maybe there's some areas on here you're just like, wow, this is, I didn't realize that that's what it took to run, a short-term rental. And this is the list that is for, profitable kind of short terms. All right, I am. So now that you are able to see kind of the actual areas, is anyone aware of the actual costs associated with all of these? What do you think it costs monthly, not including your mortgage or utilities, to have a profitable short-term rental business? If you have an exact number, let me know, or if you have like a rough estimate, you can share that too. So just anybody have any idea on the range? Cassandra, I know that you have at least a PMS because you said that. What are you spending on a monthly basis to run your short-term rentals?
Or hospitable.
Just everything. I mean, so everything that we have
I
on
mean, I
this.
can run a P&L, but I don't know it off the top of my head.
Okay, yeah, I'm just
I
seeing if you
keep
had any
everything
rough
in
idea.
Spessa.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, fair enough. Um, so what I'm going to share with you is an actual breakdown of costs, and as you can see there, these are the monthly costs to really be a successful short-term rental manager and to successfully compete with oftentimes your neighbor. You have your property management software. Again, if you don't know what that is, that's what you were talking about. There's 100 of them, but it's basically a hub where you have everything with messaging. You have links to your own site, VRBO, Airbnb. It really is the central place that you go to go see what's going on with your business. That's a great way of putting it. The average that we've seen is about $100 a month, $99 a month for 3 properties. So all the numbers here are run based on just an average of 3 properties. You have to have dynamic pricing software. And what that is it allows you to make sure that you're maximizing your revenue, getting the most bang for your buck on weekends, on holidays, on events. It analyzes and looks at everything to just make sure that you're doing everything you can. Now that's just the software. The actual time that goes into it is a whole nother story. Simply because you really need to make sure that you're monitoring that and not just letting it, forget, set it and forget it for sure. You have guest communications, whether you're doing it or you're hiring someone or you have a co-host. We've seen that the successful managers are spending about $100 a month in that area. Your online booking and CRM, that would be if you have your own booking site. We've found that to be about 150 a month. Your accounting finance software, while a minimal cost, it still is something that you need to consider, and that's usually about $25 a month. These are basically averages that we were able to kind of come up with. And then, if you want to compete, it's important that you have a marketing budget and that you're marketing to the right guests. It can be detrimental first off to be marketing to the wrong guest because you end up with the whitey tighty guy in the middle of the driveway. But you want to make sure that you are spending some marketing dollars to send traffic to your own site and to make sure that you're doing everything you can to get those bookings. What that equates to is roughly about $600 per month that you're spending that is out of pocket to you. This does not include mortgage. This does not include utilities. This does not include paying the lawn guy or anything like that. This is just what it takes to run the business, and that's about what we are seeing on average. So, do you want to know what the cost would be if you had a B&B ace or a highly qualified short-term rental manager? let's see. There's no PMS. There is no pricing software. There's no guest comms. There's no online booking. There's no accounting, or possibly you have accounting still, but you don't have a marketing budget, and you're at $0 per month. And you're probably wondering, well, how can this possibly be? And let's acknowledge the gorilla in the room. And Cassandra, you pointed it out just a minute ago, is that you're wondering, what is the cost to hire a manager? So before we talk about this, let's look at this. And I've gotten together with industry experts, and we've discovered this is the average across the board for short-term rental revenue. That's basically from your nightly rate, and we're looking at about 50K a year on average. Now that figure might be much lower for some, on the call, or much higher for others, but it is an average. The expenses you see are based on from the previous slide, and again we're talking about averages here. Keep in mind that the expenses that are what create the revenue. So if any of you are well below the 50K average and you don't have all these systems in place, that'd be a great place for you to start. Now, let me show you something. What you're seeing here is the numbers that we discovered after filtering through our data. We are specifically looking at properties that have an average short-term rental manager, taking on all the duties of running the business. So as you can see, the revenue increases, the management fee also increases. However, the net is almost $8,000 more after you're paying your B&B ACE. So once the manager gets their cut of 25%, you're also not paying the cost of all of the things we talked about expense-wise. You're left with almost $8,000 more after paying your manager and your ACE. So there's a lot of reasons why revenue is higher, which we can certainly get into later. But just look at the numbers here. With a manager, you're spending less and earning more. And on top of that, you don't have to be messaging guests constantly or updating your listing. You never have to worry about maintenance, cleaning, or restocking toilet paper. You can actually start focusing on what really, really, really matters to you. Maybe even take a vacation. Okay, enough on the averages. Let me show you some data from one of our current partners. So this is Sue and Freddie. And as you can see, they were self-managing their property. This is a 6-bedroom, 4-bath on Lake Norman. So it's a beautiful home, and is well above that 50K to begin with. So they were doing pretty good, being above the 50,000. But as you can see, the red is the self-managed revenue number, and the green is the B&B ACE revenue. So the top line after the B&B ACE came in was about 135,000 instead of them making 86,000. So even when you took out all the fees and everything there, the revenue ends up being, I think, like 105, something like that, which is incredible because that means that they were making 25,000 more on their property by hiring a manager. When we met, that they were really on the verge of selling the property because it was underperforming, and they were tired of doing everything themselves, as you can imagine. And so, here's where they were before, and um, here's what the numbers look like just after 30 days of bringing on a B&B ACE. So does that overall make sense?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, good. So now it's really clear that not having a manager is costing you potentially thousands of dollars every single month. And I know that you guys can see that, right? I'm not that crazy, but I want to give you the tools so that you can make the best choice for yourself when choosing a manager, if you want to go that route. So we understand that there are Hold on one second. I'm changing my screen here. All right. Um, yeah, I want to just make sure that you have what you need to move forward. And so we can all agree that the most valuable thing is our time, right? You guys have taken time out of your day to be on this call, and that's valuable. And I hope you get value out of this. And I also know that you're the type of person who really values their time. And you want this process to be seamless and easy and stress-free. So I'm simply going to give you the questions that you should be asking your manager before signing the contract. If your manager can answer these questions, then you're probably going to get closer to that 50% revenue increase. If not, well, they won't. Here's the slide with the questions. And what I want you to do before we talk about this is really feel free to take your phones out and take a photo or a screenshot of these questions, because these are key to making sure that you're hiring the best of the best manager. Now, we've covered a lot in this webinar, and I can keep going about where to go and look for top performing managers. I can teach you the ins and outs of the business so you can do it yourself, or I can make this really, really, really easy for you. And in just a second, I'll share what I mean by that. But first, you might be thinking that you have this limiting belief, like you're not going to be able to be as successful as some of these other investors. Simple enough. We can clear that very quickly. You might be afraid to hire someone or take on additional costs because of your current situation, but we just need to have a couple of little mind shift sets. We have a simple system for that stuff. You might not be sure exactly what's important and what to prioritize because you're new at this. And that makes it even easier because you've got a clean slate and lots of options. So we have a system for that too. And you'll be able to get this up and running in just a couple of weeks or even days. So I'm curious, if you would have had this information a year ago, what would you have saved yourself from experiencing? If you could go back in time and have this thing 1 year ago today, how would your life be different now? What would your financial situation be like? Who else would have been affected? And the reason that we're doing this webinar today is because I know how committed you are to applying this, but as human beings, we're not aware of our patterns. Would you agree that we tend to repeat them? Now you know exactly what to do. I know how committed you are to applying this. Do you see how simple this is once you know exactly what to do? I'm going to challenge you. If you don't implement this fully with confidence, with certainty, where will you be 1 year from now? Where will you be 1 year from now? It's okay to feel this. It's okay to see a future that's unattractive because it's what's actually going to give you the power to change right now. And this is the exact same thing that I did. I took the action and did all I could. You guys are champions. You've gone through a very intense training and you told yourself the absolute truth of what's no longer working. I have so much respect for you for that. I have so much respect for you for that. First is to really get clear on what you want and don't want for the next 10 years. We talked about creating a clear plan of action, measuring your progress along the way. Second, do your own math. Understanding your cost and knowing your numbers is the fastest way to improve those things. And finally, find the help that you need. You really don't need to be doing this alone, and the right people in the right seats will give you the ultimate freedom that you want. In a month from now, you can be looking back and always seeing progress and have improved your bottom line. Your places are booked solid, and now you're living your life completely on your terms. You're going to apply the system step by step, and every day you're going to feel more confident and you're going to feel more progress. You're going to see evidence that this is working and where you are going to be from a month from now. Where are you going to be 6 months from now? Your family is going to think you're awesome. Your spouse is going to think you're amazing, whatever that is to you. Is that what you want? So there are two choices that you have now, and neither is right, neither is wrong. It's entirely up to you. Number one, you can take everything you learned today and go to work, apply it. And I have no doubt that if you take this information by yourself, there's no doubt that through trial and error, making some mistakes along the way and learning from those, no question that you'll be going to look back 2 years from now and you're going to see progress. The other option is to get a time machine, like Back to the Future. Get the exact specific details, get support so that it takes all the guesswork out of it. At this stage in the game, the most expensive thing we can do is guess. Guessing costs you time and also your confidence, but there's no need to guess. So if that's your choice, take everything you've learned and go off and apply it. And if that's your choice, I absolutely would totally support that. And I'm very appreciative that you stayed on the webinar. You know exactly what to do more than 99% of the people in your situation. For those that are interested in learning how we can do this together, would it be cool with you if I took another couple minutes to explain what that would look like? So let me tell you about what we do at B&B Ace. We match smart, savvy investors like you guys with the best of the best managers who know your area, know the business, and are fully qualified to take your STRM to the moon. And we do this entirely for free. We're going to hop on a call with you so we can understand where you're at in your business, where you want to go, and what's important to you. This helps us match you with the ideal B&B Ace. After that, we go to work, digging into our network of managers across the country to find the right fit for your business fast. We negotiate the terms, and then we make the introduction. You also receive support from our team for a full year. Seriously, if something goes wrong, you don't like the manager we choose or something else, we'll find you a new one ASAP. Think of us as your wingman and your agent. You don't have to lift a finger. Remember, I said this is for free? It's true. For a limited time, you can book your call and get set up with a manager for free. So if you're ready to take your life and business forward into the future, become a B&B Ace partner by clicking the link in the chat. You can schedule a call with us now, and we'll have you up and running in as little as a single day. You guys have the link. You can book your call with us now. And for the remainder of the time we have here, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Peter, I see you just hopped on. How's it going?
Yeah, going well. Just driving.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So we got started at 2 Eastern time, so we're actually wrapping up. But we will most definitely send you over the recording. And was basically just opening up to questions for anyone here at the end.
Yeah, no problem. I figured I'd jump on. I was on another call, so it just ended.
Hey, not a problem. I appreciate you joining us for sure. Cassandra, Parthaban, you guys have any questions?
I just booked a one-on-one. I do have questions, but they're so specific to my circumstances. I don't want to bore everybody.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to talk with you. So,
I'm not into the short-term rental business fully yet,
okay.
but I was curious that the graph that you showed about the revenue, which like that you make when you self-manage versus with your company, how does that actually like practically work? Like, would that increase the nightly rate? If it does, then how likely are we to get many bookings to get that revenue?
So that's all dependent on this specific area. We used 50K as an average. And as you know, averages can be, they're just what they are, averages. Properties do less than that, properties do more than that. What we are able to do with a manager, very specifically to your area, is to have someone who is boots on the ground, someone who understands the area better than anybody, and is doing very well in the area already. The managers that we bring on typically have, there's exceptions, but typically have been in business for over 2 years. They have 10 to 50 properties. You may say, why that number? 10 is a good number, an indicator of that they can manage multiple properties at once, and 50 is kind of a arbitrary, ceiling that we've come up with where we see that property managers have over 50 just do not have the hands-on kind of support that you need. So the right manager allows the revenue to go up because they understand the market, they understand, what to do on nightly rates, they understand, a bunch of different things, and it's saving you that, call it $600 a month that we talked about, as far as, expenses go. So you're not out that, you're just basically paying the manager who ends up making you more money in the long term. I realize that was a long answer, but did that answer your question?
Yeah, yeah. I was just curious, like if we to get that much amount of revenue, that obviously has to do something with the nightly rate. And when you do increase the nightly rate, wouldn't that affect your booking?
Mm-hmm.
The right manager understands exactly what the ADR needs to be. They understand exactly what occupancy rates they're trying to shoot for. They understand it so good that there's cross-selling and upselling and different things like that. There is we could have a 2-hour webinar on revenue management, for sure. And so the managers that we bring on understand that almost better than anything else, and that's how they're able to increase revenue, among other things as well.
Okay.
But
All
what
right,
we
thanks.
say is turn it over to the experts. Your revenue will go up and your hands off, and it's a win-win-win-win actually for everybody. So, Cassandra, any other questions? I know you booked a one-on-one. We're excited. I'm excited to talk with you and see what we can do. I know we met the other day at the RIA,
Yeah.
so that was exciting to see you there, and I'm excited to talk with you further about what we can do to get your properties managed and keep your hands off and make it happen.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions that you had though?
Not now. Mm-mm. Thanks.
Okay, cool. Peter, I realize that you really got like the last 5 minutes of the call, but I'd love to talk with you further about your properties. The link that Matt put in there would be a great opportunity for us to I could kind of review a little bit about what we talked about today, but then also um, chat with you about what you're looking for and what we can do to help you as well. Did you have any other initial questions, Peter, that I could answer?
No, I'll look at email or the playback. So
Okay.
I'll
Yep.
start with that,
Absolutely.
and I'll
Yeah, that
probably
would be
lose
best.
service here in a minute too.
Yeah, no worries there. So yeah, that would be best. Definitely take a look at the recording. It is the one that we just did. It's not a different recording or anything like that. And it'll really give you an idea of who we are, what we do, and how we could help you. So
Yeah, no, sounds
perfect.
good. And thanks for
Awesome.
the invite, Jimmy.
Yes, sir. Well, I want to thank everyone for hopping on here. I do appreciate your time. We know that's the one thing that you don't get back is time. And I'm excited to connect with you and help you along your short-term rental journey. So thank you very much.